Hello, and welcome to my introduction to homeschooling. My name is Angela Harders, and I'm a certified bilingual special education teacher, a gentle parenting author, freedom fanatic, founder of the Center for Autodidact Services and Support, and a passionate, peaceful world schooler. People have asked me how long I have been homeschooling, and the short answer is 33 years because I am 33 years old and I have been learning in my home from the day I was born. I've been helping other families homeschool their children for over 10 years, and I've had the privilege of homeschooling my own children for over 7 years. My daughter Sophia is 7 years old, and my son Benjamin is 3. And just like I've been homeschooling since the day I was born, so have they. And surprise, so have you. You have taught your child how to walk, talk, and sing, how to crawl, count, cook, and clean. You have taught your child how to ask for help and how to compromise, how to get dressed, and how to empathize. You have been homeschooling your child since the day they were born, and you will homeschool them until the day that you die. The first thing that you need to know about homeschooling is that homeschooling is not doing school at home. It is a totally new way to view life and learning. And this is precisely why the first step when you make the decision to homeschool is to undergo a process called deschooling. Deschooling is the process of unlearning all that we have been taught about what learning is and what learning is supposed to look like. So, to give you a little taste of what deschooling is like, we are going to take a quiz. You are not allowed to use Google for this, so try your very best. The future of your children depends on your ability to correctly answer all of these questions all by yourself. Are you ready? Well, ready or not, here we go. Number one, when did the Civil War end? Number two, what is sublimation? Number three, what is the difference between an author's tone and voice? Number four, what is the inverse of the function y equals 4x plus 5? Number five, true or false? Melanate inhibits the activity of succinate dehydrogenase. Number six, describe the commerce in the Indian Ocean during the time period of 600 to 1400 CE. Number seven, what does that equal? Number eight, who decided that all of this was necessary in order to graduate high school? Number nine, when was the last time that you needed to know or use any of this in your real life? Number 10, how did you feel when I told you that you were going to have a pop quiz and that your child's whole life depended on it? And last but not least, what were you thinking while taking this pop quiz? All right, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that all teachers know, but few teachers are willing to admit. Most of what children are forced to learn in school is utterly useless in the real world or in their real life. So instead of answering questions, it's time that we start asking some questions. And the main question that we need to be asking is why? Why are we forcing our children to learn things that are not useful or relevant to them? Why are we forcing our children to spend so many hours, days, months, and years of their life doing things that are absolutely pointless and have no value for them? Why are we forcing our children to memorize random facts that they could easily Google an answer for? And then why do we call that being educated? Why are we forcing our children to do busy work all day long and then giving them more busy work to do at home? Why are we forcing children to be trapped in a room for 6 to 8 hours a day with a bunch of people the same age as them? And then why do we pretend that that is the best way to prepare them for real life? Why are we sending our children to be taught by a stranger in a system that may or may not have the same beliefs and values as ours? Why am I more worried about my child learning about English or math than about music or art? Why am I stressing about a score on a standardized test when that number means absolutely nothing about my unique child in the grand scheme of things? Why am I putting so much pressure on my child to get good grades and have that external validation? Why am I feeling so guilty when my child gets a bad grade? Why am I more concerned about my child's grades than about his or her mental and physical health and well being? Why are we doing any of this? These were all questions that were running through my mind a few years ago as I was contemplating my daughter's academic future. And these are all the questions that I believe are very important for every single parent to contemplate. You see, I never wanted to send my child to school, in part because I was a teacher, so I wanted to have the privilege of teaching my children myself. But also, because I was a teacher, I saw the dark side of what was happening in school. I saw the bullying, the competition, the bribes, the threats, the sex, the drugs, the alcohol, the division, the fighting, the stealing, the lying, the screaming, the yelling, the cursing, the manipulation, the coercion. I did not want my daughter to be any part of that. So I started to ask more questions. I started to ask the question, how? How do children learn best? Through force or fun? How do I learn best? Through force or fun? How can I know what my child needs to know? How can I prepare my child for her unique future? How can I measure what my child is learning on a daily basis? Do I even have to measure it? How can I create meaningful experiences and opportunities for my child to learn all they want and need? How do I define what it means to be successful? How can I create in my child a love of learning? How can I cultivate internal motivation? How can I inspire a lifelong learner? These questions launched me onto a journey into deschooling. And as you ponder these questions and more, I want you to consider these 6 tips as you start your own deschooling process. Number 1, live like every day is Saturday. Let your child rest. Rest their body and rest their mind. Do what you would normally do on a Saturday. Cook, clean, do chores, run errands, relax, watch a movie together, play a board game, hang out with friends, read a good book. Do something that you love and enjoy every single day. Number 2, live as though school does not exist. This was probably the most difficult part of the deschooling process. You literally pretend as though school does not exist. Do not worry at all about your child getting behind in math or reading. Do not stress about which curriculum to buy or which worksheet to work on or which lesson you should teach next. Just breathe. During this stage, you may notice that your child and you may go through a wide range of emotions as you adjust to this new life as a homeschooling family. You may feel bored or anxious or worried or stressed or overwhelmed or lazy or confused or inadequate. It's important to give yourself and your child the space to work through these emotions in order to be able to get to the point where you both can take the initiative for your own learning, free from force and coercion. You may be asking yourself, well, just how long does this stage last? I recommend spending 1 month deschooling for every year that you have spent in school. So, if your child is starting second grade, that means that they would need to spend about 2 months deschooling, 1 month for kindergarten and 1 month for first grade. You see, every child is unique with their own unique gifts and talents to contribute to the world. but it does take time to let go of that idea that someone else is responsible for their learning. You and your child may expect homeschool to look like school, and so you may not be prepared to truly view all of life as learning and all learning as valuable. If you have a master's degree like me, that means that you have been in school for around 20 years. So you would need almost 2 full years of deschooling yourself. Give yourself ample time to deschool and let go of all of those preconceived notions and ideas. Start with a clean slate. Number 4, learn about learning. There are 4 books that I highly recommend when starting the deschooling process. The first one is How Children Learn by John Holt. The second one is Free to Learn by Peter Gray. The third book is called Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto. And the fourth book is called What is Unschooling by Pamela Rickia. These books have been so helpful for me in reevaluating what I believe about learning and education. I also have a list of my top 25 deschooling resources available for free on my website, www.peacefulworldschoolers.com. Number 5, become a world schooler. A world schooler is someone who views the world as their school and the people and the places in it as their teachers. You see, humans are natural learners. We are born with an innate curiosity and a passion to learn. Unfortunately, schooling usually kills that innate desire for learning. With world schooling, we have the opportunity to restore that and to look for the learning that our children are already doing all day, every day. And last but not least, focused on cultivating connection. This is my favorite part of the deschooling process, removing all the stress from our relationship as much as possible and simply focusing on cultivating a loving and connected relationship with my kids. All right, now we'll take a look at the official process to start homeschooling. Keep in mind that every state and every county has their own unique procedures, so make sure to look up your local laws about homeschooling. I'm from Maryland, so I'm going to be talking about Maryland. And homeschooling in Maryland is as easy as one, two, three. I'm going to be sharing information that's specific to Montgomery County, which is the county that I live in. But if you go to my website, www.peacefulworldschoolers.com, I've provided links on how you can get started with homeschooling in the other counties in Maryland as well. All right, so first thing you need to do, number 1, you need to submit the home instruction form. As I mentioned, the forms are hyperlinked for you all on my website, so you can feel free to check that out, www.homeschoolers.com/get-started. In Maryland, you have 2 choices. You can either choose Program A, which means that the county will supervise your homeschooling, or you can choose option B, which means that you will be supervised by an umbrella instead of the county. An umbrella is an organization, usually run by a church, that will supervise your homeschooling. My personal recommendation is to always choose option B. I use and recommend the Traditional Learning Community umbrella. Here's a chart that summarizes some of the key differences between Program A and Program B. In Program A, you're supervised by the county. In Program B, you're supervised by an umbrella. Program A is completely free, but Program B can be free, or it can cost you thousands of dollars per year. It depends on the umbrella organization that you choose, and there are hundreds to choose from in Maryland. In both Program A and Program B, you must have an annual review. An annual review is a meeting once a year in which you talk about everything that you've done over the last year. In Program A, you must also present a portfolio at your annual review meeting. But in Program B, your umbrella organization may or may not require you to present a portfolio. In a portfolio, you must include evidence that your children have learned the 8 core subjects regularly and consistently over the year. The 8 core subjects that you need to show are English, math, science, social studies, art, music, health, and physical education. The evidence can include worksheets, pictures, videos, quizzes, reading logs, formal classes taken online or in person. You could even show your schedule showing field trips that you've done, events, and more. You can incorporate some or all or none of these types of evidence because the way that your child learns each of these core subjects is totally up to you. But I'll share with you a little bit more about how to teach each of these subjects towards the end of the presentation. All right, step two. After you send in your home instruction notification form, step two is then to connect with other homeschoolers. Many people fear that homeschoolers don't have opportunities to socialize, but nothing could be further from the truth. Homeschoolers are able to socialize with many different people of many different ages, races, backgrounds, and more. As with anything in life, homeschooling will be what you make it. So it is important that you can create opportunities for you and your children to connect with other homeschoolers in your community. One great way to connect is by joining the Traditional Learning Community, or TLC. TLC is the umbrella that my family uses because it only costs $50 per year and they do not require a portfolio. TLC also has an awesome in person drop off program at their self directed learning facility in Catonsville. They're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can get more information about TLC from their website, which I've listed here. Another great way to get connected with homeschoolers is to connect with GASAS. GASAS stands for the Center for Autodidact Services and Support. An autodidact is someone who is self taught, someone who is taking control of their own learning. I started Casas last year as a way to support homeschoolers whose parents needed to work full time or part time. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and we also have extended care options. We specialize in providing enriching real life, real world experiences for kids, which brings me to my last point. Go on field trips with friends and other homeschoolers in the community. As a teacher, my elementary students went on a field trip maybe 1 to 5 times per year. By high school, my students would be lucky to go on just one field trip per year. But real world experiences are such an important part of learning. Would you rather do a worksheet about the life cycle of a butterfly or go to a butterfly garden where you can experience the life cycle of a butterfly, where you can touch the butterflies and you can see a real chrysalis? Would you rather read about the ocean and answer some basic questions on a worksheet? Or would you rather experience the ocean, see it, touch it, taste it, hear it, smell it? Would you rather read the Gettysburg Address and answer some random multiple choice questions? Or would you rather get in the car, drive to Gettysburg to witness a live reenactment of the infamous battle on the actual battleground where so many brave men and women fought and died for our freedom? Research has proven time and time again that children learn best through having real life experiences. If they have not had to use a skill in their real life, then they don't need it yet. And that's okay. We can help create opportunities to use real life skills in meaningful and authentic ways. So, for example, my daughter went through a season where she loved to cook. So, once a week, we would research a different country in the world. We would learn about the different types of foods that are typical for that country, and then she would read a recipe. She would write down our grocery list for all the ingredients that we would need in order to make that food. Then we would go to the grocery store with her list, and she would have a budget to buy the food. We would look at the unit price and make comparisons of the numbers. We would use coupons and calculate discounts. After paying, she would use her money to pay and then count the change. We would come home and then we would discuss the sequencing, what goes first, next, middle, and last in our recipe. We would observe the different states of matter, solids, liquids, and gases. We would experiment with flavors and ingredients. We would use the scientific method to test hypotheses about which family members would like the new food or how different ingredients would mix together. We learned about time as we would keep track of how long it would take to cook and how many minutes were left. In the end, we would get to experience another culture. And sometimes we would even share the meal with friends or people in our community. So, as you can see, life is not so easily compartmentalized into isolated subjects like we tried to do in school. They all go together. This one activity, cooking, something that most of us do every single day, was an opportunity for my daughter to learn so many different valuable skills across a broad range of academic subjects. Now, could she have learned about sequencing or money or time or states of matter or cultures through doing some boring worksheet or answering some random multiple choice questions? Sure. But learning through life is infinitely more fun. And as I like to say, we learn best that which we learn with joy. Learning can and should be fun. So if you or your child are miserable, then it's time to make a change. And I can help you make that change. The third step is to know your rights and regulations. COMAR is the Code of Maryland Annotated Regulations. It's important for you to read through these regulations and become familiar with your rights as a homeschooling family. I also recommend joining the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Gather resources that will support you in homeschooling journey. I've compiled a list of the resources in my book, The Wonderful World of Peaceful World Schooling, which is available for purchase on my website as well as on Amazon, so feel free to check it out. The last thing that you want to consider is your homeschooling style. I recommend that everyone starting out should take the homeschool style quiz so that you can have an idea of where you are right now regarding your beliefs and your educational philosophy. Keep in mind that your style can and probably will change as you go through that deschooling process we talked about earlier. Most families start off with the traditional style, which is basically doing school at home. Parents who follow a traditional model will usually have a schedule of different classes, as well as purchase some sort of curriculum to guide their child's learning. You may set up a desk or a homeschooling room in your house that would look similar to a traditional classroom. You may even pack a lunch every day so that your child can get the full school experience. You enjoy tests, quizzes, workbooks, and other traditional school supplies. As a teacher, this is how I plan to start homeschooling my own children, but as you can probably tell, this is not the style that we use now. A classical homeschooler is someone who loves Latin. They follow a three-part approach to learning in which elementary age children focus a lot on memorizing and learning facts through repetition. The middle grades focus on analytical thinking, and the upper grades focus on rhetoric, logic, making arguments, reasoning, and debate. Another homeschooling style is unit study. For example, if your child is interested in dolphins, then you might read a book about dolphins for English. Calculate how fast they swim for math. Research a dolphin's place in the food chain for science. Identify places on a globe where dolphins might be found. Go to the pool and swim like a dolphin for PE. Listen to the sounds that a dolphin makes for music class. Draw a picture of a dolphin for art class. Discuss the impact of littering on dolphins around the world for health class. You can even take a trip to an aquarium to see a dolphin in real life for a fun field trip. Unit studies are all about providing learning for all the core classes based on a common theme. There are unit studies that are already made for you, or you can totally make it up yourself. It's entirely up to you. Another style is called Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason was a British teacher who believed that we needed to educate the whole child and not just their mind. She believed that education is an atmosphere, a discipline, and a life. It's important to create an atmosphere that is conducive to learning. Since education is a discipline, homeschoolers that use the Mason method, they'll often use a lot of copy work and a lot of repetition. And another aspect of Charlotte Mason is the emphasis on living books. So, living books are books that are written by experts and that bring meaningful learning to life through literature. If you're a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, then you'll usually be found in a library, in a museum, or in nature. Unschooling is a homeschooling style that is completely child led. I personally do not like the term unschooling. I prefer to use the term life learning, natural learning, or peaceful world schooling. But basically, it is learning that is free from force and coercion. Children are free to learn what and when and how they want. Instead of having some random curriculum dictate what your child must learn or do, your child becomes the curriculum. Of course, you're free to use curriculum if you and your child choose, but you're not a slave to it because you're able to see the valuable learning that happens all day, every day. And the last homeschooling style is called eclectic homeschooling. Eclectic homeschooling is like a homeschooling buffet. This is for the parent that wants to incorporate a little bit of everything. Because the beautiful thing about homeschooling is that you don't have to fit into one box. And whatever you do, if you try it and you hate it, you can absolutely change. And just like newlyweds and newly parents need time to figure out their unique homeschool style, you will need time to figure out your own homeschool style as well. So always remember, you are not stuck. You are free, and your children are free. And there's an incredible world out there with so much to learn and explore and do. And what greater gift to be able to give our children than the gift of unconditional love, connection, and time? Thank you so much for joining me on this brief introduction to homeschooling. I know that many of the things that I shared today are probably things that you've not heard of or considered before, and that is totally okay. I am so happy and excited to continue to explore possibilities with you in order to create the kind of life that you and your children want. We don't have to wait. We can have it all, and we can have it now. If you are interested in getting or staying connected with me, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also check out my website, www.peacefulworldschoolers.com. I provide educational consultations, homeschool support, gentle parenting courses, private tutoring, piano lessons, transcript services, and I also have an in person World Schooling Day program for children in the Maryland area. I cannot wait to see what you and your children create for your lives. I know it will be something beautiful.